USA, USA, USA. Ole, 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 ole. Ole, 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 ole. Can the Americans bring home the Ryder Cup for the first time in 30 years? That, my friends, is the question. And on this show, we get to the bottom of it. Let's roll. Welcome back to another episode of the Reignmakers Fantasy Golf Show, Ryder Cup edition. It is finally here. The Ryder Cup. We've been waiting for 2 years. The American squad put a spanking on the European squad 2 years ago on American soil, and that's in a similar squad, but a very different squad in a very different world of golf. Looks to go over to Rome to try to recapture the Ryder Cup on European soil for the first time in literally 30 years. Incredible stuff. The Ryder Cup is on many people's lists as the best event in golf. Frankly, I don't know that I have enough Ryder Cups under my belt as a mega golf fan to really understand it all, to really kind of like rank it amongst the majors and amongst the events that are big events in golf. But I will say that Medina in 2012 was probably the first time I was like very invested in the Ryder Cup, and the US getting beat by Europe on American soil was crazy. The atmosphere in Chicago at Medina was insane. Since that weekend, I've wanted to go to a Ryder Cup. I have not made it happen yet, but I definitely have it on a bucket list for getting to a Ryder Cup, both on American soil and on European soil. I expect that I started the show with a little USA chant, little Ole. I expect that. I mean, the Europeans and Europe in general, I just feel like soccer chants, the soccer leagues over there, they're always just better than what we can come up with here in the States. So I expect the crowd to be outrageous. I expect it to be a ton of fun. I expect it to be a wild and raucous environment for an American squad that put a spanking on the Europeans the last time we had this event. I expect Europe, Rory and Rahm and Hovland to be out for blood. I expect the Americans at the top of the board, those guys that have some experience with Ryder Cups, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas, those guys to really, like Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, to lead the way. We're looking at an American squad here that doesn't have a ton of Ryder Cup experience. Scheffler only played in one Ryder Cup, his first European Ryder Cup. Homa, Harmon, Wyndham Clark, Sam Burns, all Ryder Cup rookies. You got a guy like Wyndham Clark who is out there giving all of the bulletin board material that you possibly could need if you're Rory McIlroy, and if you're captain of Team Europe. He's out there saying that he's the best player in the world and he can beat any single person. I mean, of course, as a professional golfer, you need to believe that you can beat everyone. But shout out Tour Picks. Shout out the guys over there. I think he said it so well. As soon as it starts coming out of your mouth to a journalist, now you're just rubbing it in. You can believe it in your core. That doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go out there and parade yourself around and say you're better than Rory McIlroy. It just really doesn't make a ton of sense to me. Going to be really interesting to see what happens with the pairings. I got been doing some research today. It's a wild event, right? It's very different than any other golf event that we see during the calendar year. It's different scoring. So we're going to go through scoring for Reignmakers. We're going to talk through players and pairings. I dug up as much as I possibly could. A little bit difficult to find information, quite frankly. A shout out to Danny Rappaport over there at Barstool doing a lot of reporting. He's on the ground. Shout out to Rick Run Good. He's on the grounds over there. So trying to get some insights as much as we possibly can with who's going to be paired together. That's going to matter for foursomes and for four ball. We'll get into the format of the Ryder Cup. We'll get into all of the things. And maybe you're listening to this show. Maybe you played PGA Reignmakers and you weren't, a massive golf fan, and this is your first time kind of thinking about the Ryder Cup, and or maybe you heard about the Ryder Cup, but you're actually like me. I've never played DFS golf for the Ryder Cup. I didn't play 2 years ago, and prior to that, I wasn't even really that big into DFS. So generally speaking, there's just a lot to go through. We're going to go through a lot of it today. Say hello to the people in the chat. Shout out TJ, Sergeant Stogie, Laces Out, Josh Allen, Poker Pro Eric. He's on Team Europe. I mean, it's so on brand for Poker Pro Eric to be on Team Europe. Makes a ton of sense. I'm going to give you my takes as to why I think the Americans will win the Ryder Cup. They will take victory in Europe on Roman soil. Everyone talking about the Roman Empire. I like all the memes out there on the Roman Empire these days with the PGA guys over there playing in Rome this week. So that's been fun. JM to Glib. He says PGA is back, and Poker Pro Eric rightfully says PGA is in fact not back. You're right. This is a unsanctioned event. This is I don't even know what you call the Ryder Cup, like how the Ryder Cup comes together. It's, a meeting of the minds of all of the different organizations in golf. But you listen to guys like Jim Furyk, read an article that says Jim Furyk's biggest regret ever in golf is the fact that in 9 Ryder Cups, he went 2-7. Said it's his biggest regret in the entire game of golf. Also read an incredible article from the No Laying Up guys, Chris Solomon, Solly. If you're out there following No Laying Up, Solly's kind of the main guy behind No Laying Up, started it alongside TC and some others, but really broke down the history of the Ryder Cup from an American perspective, really went into detail on the Jim Furyk, Tiger Woods, and Phil Mickelson era, where those guys, as good as Tiger was, as good as Phil was, as good as they were at stroke play golf events, they just could never get it done in the Ryder Cup. They just could not figure it out. It certainly did not translate. And, we'll go through a little bit. I'll talk a little bit about the process. I was very intrigued by the changing of the guards over the course of the last decade or so. And remember, the Ryder Cup is only played every other year. So every 2 years we get the Ryder Cup. So the last 3 Ryder Cups is when the US sort of implemented this new process where he talked about scouts analytics and trying to predict who Europe might play, trying to figure out what's the optimal route for pairings. I'd say this Ryder Cup group of 12 Americans probably had the most difficult decisions to make to get down to 12 guys. I think, if you look at the process and you look at the fracturing of American golf and guys going to live, you had the whole live versus PGA Tour stuff. Obviously, we have Brooks Koepka on the team, just with how fantastic Brooks played in the majors and the events that counted towards Ryder Cup points. Brooks almost made the top 6 in points just from his major finishes. He does get the nod. He is on the team. Will be playing. The question is, how much will not just Brooks be playing, but how much will anyone be playing? I saw a lot of sharp questions in our Discord saying, do we think anybody plays 5 matches? If so, who? Of course, if you play 5 matches, that means you will have played Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and the Sunday singles match. We'll get into the formats and all of that, but that'd be a lot of golf. I don't know if anyone is going to play 5 matches. And I tweeted this out earlier this week. We left off, the United States decided to leave off Dustin Johnson, who at Whistling Straits in the last Ryder Cup went 5-0. Played 5 matches and won 5 matches, which is, pretty insane to play as much golf, as these guys play in 3 days, to play 5 matches and get 5 wins. Pretty insane. Dustin Johnson and notable Patrick Reed, both live guys, the 2 top American point getters in the last decade of Ryder Cups at home, not on the team, replaced by guys like Wyndham Clark, Brian Harmon, Sam Burns, Max Homa, Scotty Scheffler. Can those guys get it done against the likes of what I would call a very hot European team? Jon Rahm, the only kind of top-notch player who I'd say isn't hot right now, but alongside Rahm at the top on the European side, you got McIlroy playing fantastic golf. You got Hovland, who nobody's playing better golf than Victor Hovland right now. You got Matt Fitzpatrick, who finished second here at this course in the Italian Open in 2022. So he's got course history. You got Hatton, one of the most fiery competitors in golf, not only to play with, but also to play against, and the antics that he goes through. He finished 8th at this course at the Italian Open in 2022. Tommy Fleetwood finished 2nd at this course in 21. So you talk about, some guys who have course history. You have to go all the way down to the bottom of the board on the European side. Nikolai Højgaard and Robbie McIntyre, who some of us might be saying, who are those guys? Not exactly the biggest names in golf. Højgaard won the event at this course in 21. McIntyre wins the event at this course in 22. So, you look at the course history on the American side, absolutely none. And of course, that's what happens when you get to set up the course, when you get to pick the course, when you're on home soil, when you have everything going for you, you're going to make it so it's favorable for you. Europe has everything going for them. And yet they're still in the betting market, a dog in this fight. The United States comes in as a -130 favorite in the betting market. I know if you were getting, if you were interested in the Ryder Cup months ago, I think 6 months ago or so, I saw Europe as a favorite as high as like +180, close to +200 in some spots is what I've heard. I never saw that myself, but that was some of the reports. And now they're down to, what's the odds here? Current odds, I think, are like +120. +120, +130 for Europe. So Europe still a dog in this fight. Going to be an absolute battle. And we have a ton to break down. So let's talk Friday. And I'm going to put up a tweet here. Share my screen. Go through some stuff. We'll, of course, head over to our site, otmnft.com. We use the lineup builder. We don't have any odds in there this week just because it's a completely different week than any other week. So it would have required a lot of changing of the process. But you can still make your lineups, take a look at who's available, export all that information, and then upload it into DraftKings, Reignmakers. We'll go through that process. I actually don't have any elites. I have a Brian Harmon elite, but don't have any other elites to play. So I'll be playing rare and core lineups this week. Interested to know your guys' questions. Fire the questions in the chat. If you have them, we'll be looking at Discord as well. But let's just lay out what we're playing here. And I sometimes get confused by this. So I'm going to jump around a little bit. Where's the Ryder Cup site? Just to make sure that we know, and I give exact information about what we're talking about. But we're going to be on Friday talking through 4-balls and foursomes, right? So 2 different formats. 4-ball is where are we at here? Where are we at? Here we go. Junior Ryder Cup. No, we don't want that. Sorry, hold on. Where'd this go? Help me out here. Where the heck did this go? Teams. Where's format at? What they change about this? Here we go. How it works. Everyone calls it something different, but four ball is essentially better ball. Everyone plays their own ball to completion. They're four balls, so that's why they call it four ball. Two pairings of two against each other. The lowest score of your team counts and therefore determines who wins the hole. These are all match play. So you will see putts conceded. You will see, you'll see halved holes. Every hole is 1 point and the entire match is worth 1 point. So in four ball, we'll have everyone playing their own ball. And then I'm going to just jump back to this tweet here. So it's going to be foursomes up front, which I believe the U.S. got to decide because they're on away soil. They got to decide if you play foursomes or four ball. We're playing foursomes in the beginning. Foursomes, probably the most difficult format in all of the Ryder Cup. So foursomes is you're playing one ball. So just jumping back over here. In foursomes, each two-man team plays one ball per hole with the players taking turns until the hole is complete. So if you guys remember back to, oh boy, what was the name of the tournament? Someone in chat help me. What was the name of the tournament? Where we played four ball and foursomes. Can't remember. No, not Valero. I can't remember. I'll think of it before the show's over for sure. But Friday morning, playing foursomes, alternate shot. So much strategy from kind of the analytics side of the house. Who drives the ball to certain distances? Who should play together? And then you also just have the look and the feel of who the pairings should be. And I think that's where I wanted to start. So shout out Danny Rappaport. Tuesday practice rounds. Here were the U.S. pairings. As anticipated, Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. These two, the most history playing with each other. I don't anticipate any changes of these two. It is a matter of if Jordan and Justin will be playing on Friday and Saturday and, when they will be playing. And then you've got Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele. These guys, a duo in the event that I can't seem to think of the name of. You know what? I need to do this. Where was that event? No, was it Travelers? No. Why can't I think of what it was? We had match play. Zurich, that's what it is. The Zurich Classic in New Orleans. That is when we had this format where we saw back repeat champions or previously champions, Schauffele and Cantlay play together. That's the first question most people are asking is, does Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele, do they play Friday morning, Friday afternoon, Saturday morning, Saturday afternoon, and then play in the Sunday singles? I'd say on the American side, this grouping of four, in my opinion, likely has the best chance to play all 5 rounds. And the reason I say that is because I think when we're evaluating if you're playing all 5 rounds, you have to think about who you're going to be playing in singles as well. I think someone like Scotty Scheffler, while I think it's natural to think, oh, just march Scotty out there, all 5 times. Scotty's probably playing with Sam Burns. He's probably going to get one of the more difficult draws. We saw Scotty play against John Rahm in the last Ryder Cup on Sunday singles. I think the U.S. feels as comfortable as possible with Scotty against anyone. And so I think you could see something like Scotty against Rahm, Scotty against Hovland, even Scotty against Rory. Justin Thomas played Rory in the last Ryder Cup and had a quote how, those two really like each other. And for 18 holes, they were at war and absolutely hated each other. So I thought that was an interesting quote. But to me, if I were, trying to predict ahead of times, I would think that it is Patrick Cantlay, Xander Schauffele, number 1 to play all 5. And in my opinion, and the reason why Justin Thomas made this team is because he's sort of the spark plug of the American side. And if he and Jordan Spieth are rolling and they go 2-0 on Friday, I don't see any reason to not march them out there on Saturday. Young guys can play a lot of golf. Don't think fatigue is, all that big of an issue. I think Justin's been battling to be here. I think he would love nothing more than to play five matches. So that's my take on the American side of who might play 5 matches. So yeah, my money would be on that top quadrant in my opinion. Yes, Dell was the match play. So that was the match play format. I was searching for I'm losing it again. I was searching for the Zurich. That's what I was thinking about. And then Josh Allen also says Dell. Yeah, Dell was the match play. Sam Burns won the match play. So good, interesting of note. Also, gonna be looking to play seemingly, based on this this information, looks like Brooks Koepka will play with Wyndham Clark and Scotty Scheffler will play with Sam Burns. You're going to get the Max Homa, Colin Morikawa. If you recall Zurich, the Homa-Kawa pairing. Those guys pretty comfortable playing with each other. And then Brian Harman, Ricky Fowler. I think this pairing is very interesting. Ricky playing as good as anyone, coming into the Ryder Cup with almost zero expectation. Going to get paired with Brian Harman, who some strange reports about like where Brian Harman was hitting golf balls from the practice range. He was apparently like soloed off by himself hitting balls. Who knows? Georgia kid, but by all accounts, Brian Harman loves match play, has an edge in match play, has played really well historically in match play. So I think these two could just be a really sneaky pair. Again, none of this is confirmed exactly who will be playing together. I think we definitely need to keep in mind of once that gets confirmed, what that looks like for Reignmakers lineups and for DFS lineups if you're playing them. If you remember in the Zurich, you couldn't play 2 guys together. So, Cantlay and Schauffele were paired together, but they were one click in your lineup. In Reignmakers for the Ryder Cup, you can play both guys. So Cantlay and Schauffele get paired together. You can play Cantlay and Xander in the same lineup. So I think that's really important. There's probably some strategy there for giving yourself ceiling. And if you have an inkling that, a pairing may play 5 matches, then it may make sense to kind of go all in on that pairing. So that is interesting. On the European side, this is fascinating to me. I couldn't find really anything to indicate who might be playing with who. But we look at this practice round pairing: Fleetwood, Shaka, Lowry, McIlroy. I mean, I could see any of these guys playing with each other. Tommy Fleetwood, Rory McIlroy, to me, the biggest yin and yang here. Rory just going to drive it so well. Tommy, a great driver of the golf ball, but just not as much distance. Someone who putts extremely well, someone who's been playing really well. So I think Rory and Tommy would be, if they're together, that would make a lot of sense. And that would be a pretty formidable duo for the U.S. to battle. And then you come down and you look at this second grouping: Rahm, Hovland, Hatton, Aberg. I saw some quotes today from Rahm talking about rookies and wanting to hear from the rookies and wanting them to be, vocal and ready to play. I don't know what that means. But Rahm and, Ludwig Aberg, who, if there's a better driver of the golf ball than Rory McIlroy, and we just haven't seen him enough yet, it is Ludwig Aberg. When he's hitting the golf ball as good as he can, he's driving at 350 plus. Playing with someone like Rahm gives him a lot of confidence, is what I would think as a rookie. So I could see those guys playing together. I love this pairing in the middle. If this is what it happens, Hovland, Hatton, no idea if that's where they'll go, but that could be a really formidable duo. That entire grouping right here, pretty tough. And I think this Ryder Cup is going to be won in the middling pairs. It's going to be won with Victor Hovland and Tyrrell Hatton. It's going to be won with Matt Fitzpatrick against, a Brian Harman and a Ricky Fowler. It's going to be won with Max Homa and Colin Morikawa doing their thing. So, I think the middling pairs are going to be quite interesting. And I see it, the fact that DJ went 5-0 in the last Ryder Cup at home, it's going to be so hard to go 5-0 on the road. And so I think you got to look at the European side who can go 5-0. I think I would just be defaulting to Victor Hovland, just playing the best, gonna have probably has one of the best like attitudes about the whole entire thing, just out there to enjoy it. Would seems like a guy who would just embrace the crowd, embrace the noise, embrace everything about it. I think Rory just always has a lot of pressure on him. Watch the little interview about Rory reading quotes that he made as a young and up and coming pro golfer, saying that he would never, be fist pumping for big putts made in the Ryder Cup, and how, it doesn't matter as much as majors. And he sort of walked back everything he said as a young lad, and said that how much the Ryder Cup means to him. I just think Rory always struggles to play his best when the lights are really bright, as of late. And as the de facto captain of the European side, as the team who is on home soil, wants to defend, got their butts kicked last Ryder Cup, I think there's a lot of pressure on Rory. So I don't see Rory going 5 matches. Also think, Rory's just an older guy. I think you want him to be fresh on Sunday. You want him to be solidly ready to embrace playing one of the better US players and get a point for Team Europe out of that Sunday singles. So I don't anticipate Rory playing 5 rounds. On the Europe side, my bet would be on a grouping like Hovland Hatton, and then if Rahm Auberg kind of caught fire, same way at Jordan Spieth and Justin Thomas can catch fire. If those guys are 2-0, I could see after Friday, I could see marching those guys out there on Saturday, keeping the energy high, running off the crowd energy, and playing 5 matches. But that would be my guesses as to who might play 5 rounds on the European side and on the American side. So coming from this set of practice tee times, and then on the American side coming from that first set. So that's my take. Yeah, no Spieth and Koepka and Reignmakers. Good question. If that's the only one, do we have an Auberg? I'm not sure that we do. Let's see. Let's go players. Yeah, no Auberg. And do we have a Højgaard? I believe we do have how do you spell his name? Nikolai Højgaard, Hojga. So I don't think we have a Højgaard either. Hoj. Yeah, no Højgaard. No Koepka. No Spieth. And no Auberg. I believe that we have everybody else. Yes, on the American side. Yes to these 4. Yes to these 3. Oh, no Justin Rose either. No Justin Rose as well. So, do we have Robert McIntyre? I want to say that we did, but I could be incorrect there. Nope, no Robert McIntyre. So, of the 24 guys, we're missing. What are we missing? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 6 out of 24 guys. So only 18 golfers to play. Going to be duplicated lineups for sure. So really small field. So definitely going to be duplicated lineups. Definitely going to be some interesting decisions to be made. And we'll go through. We'll build some teams for sure. What else do we want to talk through? What are some other questions? So yeah, that's my take on who might play five matches. So just to recap again, format and how things will work. So, every one of these matches worth a point. The goal of the entire Ryder Cup is to get to 14.5 points. If for some reason the entire Ryder Cup is tied 14-14, there's a total of 28 points available. 14-14, then the Americans will retain the cup because they hold the cup from the last Ryder Cup. So, the Europeans need 14.5 points to win. and to ultimately bring the cup back to European soil, European hands ahead of the 2025 Ryder Cup that will be back on USA soil. So yes, foursomes in the morning, four ball in the afternoon. We got early start times. It's over there in Rome, 1:35 a.m. And then Sunday when singles starts, 5:35 a.m. So gonna be up late on Friday night. I'm gonna be enjoying everything up to as late as you can. And then once you wake up, golf will be on. There will be golf on Saturday. So should be a very fun weekend. I was looking at lock because I saw some people mention lock. It is Thursday I think this is 12 a.m. That's interesting. This would mean this is tomorrow night, right? I wonder if they meant Friday at midnight, because wouldn't this need to be Friday? Interesting. I'll have to confirm when that is. What does the lobby say here? I'm in PA, so it's always difficult to navigate that Reignmakers lobby for when things are locking. Okay, here we go. Here's better. Friday, 1:30 a.m. on Friday. So that's when things will lock. Some interesting contests out there. Shout out if you got in that Discord gated contest. I don't have a ticket yet. There's no entry, so I assume nobody has a ticket yet. I don't know what this 10K team promo looks like, but 5K cash based on the payout structures. They have that. I don't know what the 10K team promo looks like. So I have to read some more on that, but you need to sign up. And I don't know if you still can. Maybe you still can. You need to sign up in the DraftKings Marketplace Discord on the Tea Time News announcements channel. There was a link to sign up. So head over there. Make sure you get into that contest if you can. This will be a core contest. You can just use your core cards. I think in looking at the entries, yeah, this is what so my collection just not optimized for the elite contest, but I was looking here. This should be pretty tasty contest. 375 people only in this thus far. 5K to first, 50K total. Nice payout structure for a standard contest. You're gonna need a great lineup to take this down. But if you're able to play in this contest, and if you have any cards, I think you just need to get different with one card, one or two cards, and maybe have some low serial. That would be interesting to see how many entries get into this contest and how many duplications there are. Unlike the rare, this is going to have much less entries than this rare contest. So 1.4K, we got to go a little off the wall in the guaranteed rare contest. So we'll build some teams, go through the info, and go from there. Oh, I wanted to bring this graphic up. Shout out Pat Mayo. Loved listening to his pod. So you can find him at the PME on Twitter. But this is a great graphic and I think this comes from someone else. Yeah, at Dom's the Bomb. Great graphic here talking about history, Ryder Cup experience, and all the things. As you can see on the American side, we've got 4 rookies. On the European side, we got 4 rookies: Sepp Straka, Bobby McIntyre, Nikolai Højgaard, and Aberg. And then I think the other element here, for me at least, is this course history. A lot of these guys on the European side have played here, have played in this event, at least have familiarity with the course. Not sure how much that does. If you're only playing a course, 1 or 2 times, I'm not sure how much it does. But, and these guys are the best of the best. Remember, on both sides, this is the top 1% of golfers, the top 12 on either side. So it isn't surprising to see 4th, 2nd, 8th, and 1st here in terms of performances. It's just the best of the best. And when you go play at the Italian Open, you're not going to be playing against, the most strong fields. You're going to be playing against fields of guys that are, outside the top 1,000 in the world rankings at times. So I definitely think seeing that course history is something to keep an eye on, but it's also just a reminder more that these guys are the best and the best of the world. So that's pretty important. So Sunday singles, I think, is going to be really fun. The singles part of the Ryder Cup on Sunday is just phenomenal. Straight up man versus man, mano-a-mano match play. You're going to get some interesting pairings. I wanted to talk through that a little bit. Who does Scheffler play? Who does Rory play? Where's Rahm get paired up at? I just want to talk from what I saw from history. Scheffler played against Rahm in last Ryder Cup, and Justin Thomas played against Rory McIlroy. I think this all comes down to submitting the order in which your guys are going to play. So it all comes down to putting the order out there and how things get paired up. So that is how that will go. So that's always great theater, trying to see who will be matched up against who. Frankly, I'm very interested on and very invested on the USA side in Sunday singles. I think that's where the US has an edge. I look at this board, and to me, I think the Europeans are stronger in spots at the top, like Hovland, like Hatton, like Fleetwood. I don't know who exactly is going to pair up against them, but I like the Americans, Burns, Fowler, Kepka, Morikawa, Homa. I like all of those guys against a lot of the Europeans, against a lot of the European side. So in my opinion, in my biased, in my patriotic opinion, that's where we see the European side fall to the Americans for the first time in 30 years. I think we see the Sunday singles play in favor of the American squad, and the USA team just edges out victory. I think it's close. If I were, you can head out there to DraftKings, you can bet on the exact score of the Ryder Cup. If I were to be betting, I'd bet something like 15 to 13, 15 and a half at most, to 12 and a half. And I could see this even being a 14 and a half to 13 and a half match. I can just see it playing out like that. I think it'll be pretty close. It's going to come down to the last couple of matches, and it should be fantastic Sunday theater. So all the patriotic chants are going to be out. The U.S. team is going to be getting rained on with booze. I'm sure the European crowd will be fun to watch. It always is. And it will give you some chills. Like I said, Medina in 2012 was the first time I was turned on to the Ryder Cup. First time I sort of watched in full. And man, it was just electric for a golf environment. For, nowadays we have the Waste Management Open, the 16th hole. Live Golf has, a party hole these days. I think golf is embracing a younger generation of fans. Golf is embracing trying to have fun out there, not being such a stuffy sport. The Ryder Cup, to me, you'll see guys, cheering on the crowd, the home crowd, maybe a guy like Rahm wants people cheering in his backswing, wants people talking. I could see some of that coming from the European side as well. We're on the American side. We're avoiding guys like Ian Poulter, who have been an American killer, a guy who just plays extremely well in match play. He's not on the squad for Europe this time. So I think, you've got a new generation of golfers on both sides of the board here between the Americans and the Europeans. It should be really fun. And it's also a very young set of golfers. This Ryder Cup is the first of what will be several Ryder Cups that probably, if I were to bet, look really, really similar in 2025, in 2027, maybe even in 2029. A lot of these golfers are entering the prime, or maybe not even to their prime of their careers. And maybe we see a substitute or two in the next couple of Ryder Cups, but I think you're going to see a lot of repeat players, a lot of repeat contestants, a lot of people that are, wanting to get after it. If they have a loss on Sunday, they're going to be wanting to get after the next Ryder Cup. So I think it's going to be really fun. Sets the stage for the next several Ryder Cups to come. All right, let's jump over to our site. Let's build some lineups. I see most everyone asking the question of who's going to play the most. I think it's a great question. Wish I knew. But yeah, gave you guys my take. I'd say Cantlay Schauffele on the American side, likely to play the most. And I will bet Rahm. I will bet Rahm Aberg. Yeah. I'll bet Rahm Aberg to play the most on the European side. And then 1A, 1B tandem over there. I'd bet Hovland and whoever Hovland ends up playing with. Okay. our site, otmnft.com, lineup builder, no odds this week. So you got to manually, oh man, I didn't click save. I got to manually go through it. As you guys can see, no elites other than Harmon in the field for me. So no elite lineups. Will be building rares and cores. Do have a fair amount of rares of just about everyone in the field. So it should be pretty fun. I have no Justin Thomas. So I definitely will be building some DFS teams that have both Justin Thomas and Jordan Spieth, because I just have this feeling, Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth. I like that. I like that tandem. Oh, let's hit on scoring too. So scoring for Reignmakers. And this is what I was saying for lineup construction, where you can play guys together. So let's go rules and scoring. So here's the rules and scoring: 3 points for every hole that you win, 0.75 points for a hole that's tied, minus 0.75 points for a hole that's lost. A hole that is not played when the matches are won. If you win 3-2, up 3 with 2 holes left to play, you will then get 3.2 points because you won't have played the last 2 holes, 17 and 18. So the winning team will then get an added 3.2 points for those 2 holes, 1.6 points per hole. You need to win, 5 points if you win the match, 2 points if you get a tie. You need to play 10 holes for, I don't think this will happen, but this has happened in the past at like the Zurich, where guys concede. I think for some reason I'm thinking classically, I'm thinking Hideki, this happened to at the match play where he just conceded and everyone was thinking, oh, I'm going to get, 0.16 points for every hole they didn't play. I'm going to get 18 holes of that. You need to play 10 holes. A match must go through at least 10 holes for any golfer to be eligible for the no holes lost in a match bonus. So that's this. No holes lost in a match, 7.5. So I do think you will get then the 18 points times the 1.6 plus the matches won bonus. So that is how it will be scored. I don't think we'll have any of that happen in the Ryder Cup. Obviously, there'll be subs if there are injuries. There's extra guys some guys that won't play, et cetera, et cetera. So really nothing to worry about there, in my opinion. A couple of streaks that we'll keep an eye on: consecutive holes won in a match. This is really tough. I think you'll see this more. Maybe not. I'm not sure. If I were to guess, you'd see this more in 4-ball, where all 4 balls are in play. You're just taking the lowest score. That's where you'll see consecutive holes won in a row more frequently. If you're playing foursomes and then you're playing singles, there's bound to be a half in there somewhere when you're talking about the best guys in the world playing against each other. So I don't know how many of these we will see, which means that they will be critical. It will be a sweat if any of your golfers have won 2 holes in a row. That 3rd hole is crucial. Getting those 5 points is huge. Not to mention the captain bonus, 1.5 points for the captain. So you'll have that happen. No holes lost in a match. This is interesting. I suppose this is in play. Would be a shellacking, would be a beating if you only get half points. But I guess it's in play. I would be willing to bet that we don't see this bonus come into play in this Ryder Cup. The teams are pretty tight. It's on European soil. I don't think anybody will go winless of at least 1 hole. So interesting to see if that happens. And then, so other than that, they don't mention anything else about being able to enter 2 guys that are playing together. We don't know who's playing together, and you can put lineups together right now. So I anticipate that will be the case. So in my opinion, the biggest strategy here is trying to play guys from teams, from pairings who are playing together, who you think have the best chance to win. So once the pairings are formalized, you'll have more of an idea of that. I'll be back with a show tomorrow, a quick show to recap my teams, make any changes, see if we get any more news about pairings and all of that. So that will be fun to see. All right. Let's build a couple of initial teams. I realize I'm not looking at chat at all. Mixed lineups, so US or Euro, go straight one team so they don't play each other. Good question. I think we need to know more about construction, about team pairings, and things like that. I don't think you need to go with everyone on one side. If anything, on Rainmakers, I'd go I'd go 4-1, 4-1, 4-2, or 4-1-3-2 is probably going to be the biggest construction, in my opinion. So, good question. All right, let's build a squad. Well, I think Rom, to me, super interesting in match play format. Hasn't played the best, but in my opinion, especially if he's playing with Aberg, probably has the biggest upside. And I just love Rom in general. So I'd get Captain Rom. I like Hovland a good bit too. And then this is where I think I would go Cantlay, Xander, and this is mega chalky. So I think I'm going to go to core here. I think this will be a very, very chalky build. Maybe John Rahm at captain has some relief in this build, but this is where, to me, I might go with a Brian Harmon in this lineup or a Tommy Fleetwood, depending on where. I have a lot of Tommy Fleetwood course, so we'll have 3 Tommy Fleetwood course and 2 Tiro Hatton course. It'll be very interesting if Hatton and Fleetwood play together versus Fleetwood and Rory. That will be an interesting decision to make there. We'll go Tommy on this side. This would lean towards Europe making it really, really close. Cantlay and Xander playing extremely well. Maybe both playing 5 times. Maybe Hovland plays 5 times on the European side. Maybe Rom plays 5 times. So yeah, to me, this is a pretty nice lineup with a lot of upside. So we'll go with this lineup first, and then I think you can really get different in captain spots here. I don't. It's so hard to project ownership for Rainmakers. But a guy like Fitz and Homa in my collection are who I might be leaning on. Fitz, someone who plays pretty good in match play, depending on who he gets paired with, that could be really interesting. I have no Morikawa to pair with Homa, but maybe I go Homa here. And then this is where maybe I go Scotty, Rom, and then back to someone like, see, this is like the 3-2 or 4-1 decision, right? So Fitz and captain on the European side, then 3 America. No, sorry, I didn't realize I have Rom in here. So this is a 2-2 still. So yeah, so this to me just leans that you got to play the best player, and I think the best player probably gonna be Victor Hovland. So a little different at captain, pretty chalky everywhere else. Yeah, I think you're gonna have to pay attention to serials as much as you possibly can, but I wouldn't over engineer it. I don't know. It's pretty hard. I guess to me, in my estimation, with 18 golfers being in the field, there are going to be duplicates. So I would just be building the best teams I can. I wouldn't really worry too much about duplicates. If you have lower serial options in some of your top lineups, if you have multiples, I'd be entering all the low serial options, lowest of serial options in your top lineups, and then spraying in the other guys that are high serial. And then I might be getting different at captain spot. That's probably where I would differentiate. If you got, a high serial Rom and Scheffler, or if you got a high serial Hovland and Scheffler, Hovland might be, in my experience with Rainmakers and looking at all the contests, I think Hovland probably gets the most ownership of anyone. I think he's always played in most of the biggest contests and most of the guaranteed money contests. Hovland seems to be just a default for people. So I think that will be pretty interesting to see what happens. But yeah, I would default to maybe a non-Scheffler, Rom, Hovland, Cantlay, Xander captain, maybe Homa, Fitzpatrick, Hatton, Fleetwood. I'd go that route, in my opinion. Trying to think if there's anybody down here in the world. I have no JT in my collection. I don't believe, at least. I'm trying to think of other guys in the world rankings. Where's that cheat sheet at? Is that here? Yeah, OWGR. Justin Rose not here. Shane Lowry, I might have a little of. How many Shane Lowry? Can't remember. Nope, no Shane Lowry in the collection. Gonna be a thin set of lineups. You know what that means, guys? We want to build a DFS team too. What happened here? Who else? Who else? Who else? No more Kawa. No Fowler and Reignmakers. No JT. Yeah. So you can only have a couple of teams with a lot of guys that are similar. Let's build one more. So I can't really stack up too many guys without knowing who they're playing with. Maybe go Fleetwood Hatton here, like Fitzpatrick as well, and then play Homa, and then I think I have a Scotty, right? Yeah, and Scotty. I think that's going to probably do it. 3 rare teams. Then I'm going to have to play everybody else in core. All right, let's build one more core team. If Xander and Cantlay play together, I really like them. On the U.S. side, I expect them to play together. Expect them to play well. Fitzpatrick, Hatton, Fleetwood. Straka's down here too. I have a lot of European guys from a core perspective. Not as many Americans. Seems like that could be pretty different. Sam's gonna play with Scotty, but I feel like I gotta play my Scotty. Gotta play my Scotty core up, right? I don't know, chat. What do you guys think? Would you play Scotty core up? Stogie says if someone with a non-RM partner wins, could it be possible they're not optimal captain because you can't double up? Someone with a non-RM. Yeah. Well, someone with a non-RM partner wins. Could it be possible they're not the optimal captain? Can't double. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Captain would still probably be. I agree. Yeah, you're kind of walking it back. I guess solo win captain would still be best. I think that's right. But I think if you had, I mean, it's going to come down to points won, right? So even if like Justin Thomas has the most points on the American side, I could see, because you can't play Jordan Spieth, I could see the pairing of Cantlay Xander getting more points. But then I guess at the end of the day, you could really just play Cantlay or Xander. So I don't think you have to worry about it. So yeah, I agree. Probably not all that necessary. I think this is more of a play for ceiling, right? A play for a pairing that you think could go 5-0, or go 4-1, or go 4-0. And you're gonna get every single point out of those guys. Obviously, Sunday's going to change because every guy will play individual on Sunday. But to optimize for Friday and Saturday, I think I'd be mostly playing teammates together if you had the opportunity to. I guess it depends on what your portfolio looks like. But if you're putting let's put it this way. If you're putting the captain in there and you have the ability to play the secondary player, quote unquote secondary player, I think I'd be playing them together. Even if it's chalky, I'd be playing them together if it were me. Good question. Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do in core here. I guess I could go Sam Burns. Sam Burns playing with Scotty, so maybe get a little Scotty exposure there too in core, and maybe this lineup is just completely different than most lineups, or at least I'll pray. All right, I think that'll do it for today. I'm planning to come back at least one quick show tomorrow. See what changes. See what more information we have. Kind of go through everything from there. So yeah, I'll be back tomorrow talking through if we know pairings, if we know more information. Plan to do a show at some point in time once we have that information. So look for late afternoon show, maybe even evening show tomorrow, and or I guess could do Thursday. So we'll wait till we have the information out to do another stream, and then jump back on stream, talk through some teams, talk through the lineups I already built. Let me click save lineups on these. Saved notorious for not clicking save, and then see how that pans out. All right. Any other Discord questions? Doesn't look like it. Get your lineups in. I'll shoot a ping into the Discord as well for once we have the ticket to enter the Discord contest. When we do the next show, I'll also build a DFS team. Like I said, I definitely want. So I want some Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth exposure, and not going to get that because I don't have any JT in the Reignmakers portfolio. So shout out Reignmakers. Got the Reignmakers football swag. I need a little orange marker. Just call it PGA. More of a golf nut than a football nut these days. I leave the football stuff to Justin. If you guys aren't listening to Justin's podcast, it's just an awesome listen 2 times a week. I absolutely love the Sunday format. You get inside the mind of Justin when it's fresh. Great episode this week. Had reviewed Drew Dinkmeyer's lineup. ETR guy won 350K, 350K off an entry. So reviewed that lineup. I love the lineup review process. So shout out to Justin, doing a bunch of podcasts every week. Go over to anywhere you can find your podcast. Type in Justin Herzig DraftKings and it should pop right up. TJ's also put a link out to the podcast in our Discord. So check that out if you haven't seen it. Shout out DraftKings. Appreciate the partnership and looking forward to getting back into golf. We got fall golf happening again next week. So we'll have more golf content, more ways to put our cards to use and see if we can take down one of these prizes. All right. That'll do it for today. Appreciate you all for hanging around as always. Thanks for the great questions. Good conversation. And I'll be back either tomorrow or maybe Thursday, depending on when we get a lot of information that will help us to make any updates to our decision-making process. All right. Talk to you all later. Peace.